What's going on, y'all? My name's Terrence and I go by T. And every morning I come to you on my wife beater and my headset, and we break down a chapter of the Bible. And my goal is to get you guys a little closer to God and teach you a little bit more about the Bible each and every day. And today we are talking about Genesis 11. Let's get started. We get into a story called the Tower of Babel. Now, at this point in history, the whole world spoke the same language, and many of them lived in Shinar. And the people decided to make a name for themselves. They wanted to build a city and a tower to reach the heaven. But God had other plans for mankind. So instead of them building this tower that reached the heaven, God decided to separate them so they wouldn't all multiply in one place. He divided their languages so they couldn't communicate with one another. The confusion resulted in them abandoning this tower project called the Tower of Babel, and they all had dispersed all across the earth. The city and tower became known as Babel because it was there that God divided the languages. And then we go into more genealogy, and we actually break down genealogy of Shem in verses 10 through 26. Shem fathered Arpachshad at 100 years old and died at the age of 600. Arpachshad fathered Shelah at 35 years old and died at the age of 483. Shelah fathered Eber at 30 years old and died at the age of 433. Eber fathered Peleg at 34 years old and died at the age of 464. Peleg fathered Ru at 30 years old and died at the age of 239. Ru fathered Serug at 32 years old and died at the age of 239. And Serug fathered Nahor at 30 years old and died at the age of 230. And Nahor fathered Terah at 29 years old and died at the age of 148. Notice how the lifespan starts to shorten over time by each generation. Keep in mind that the lifespan used to be a lot longer further back in the Bible. Also keep in mind that God did make a promise to Adam after he had ate from the tree that death was promised to him. He would return to the dust, right? So they would die. That didn't mean that they would die immediately, but eventually. And this lifespan is being shortened pretty fast. I find that pretty interesting. And this is an important chapter because we see how the story of the Tower of Babel teaches us that God will sometimes restrict innovation. He allows humans to succeed in their technological and architectural endeavors, but at the will of God. Humans are allowed to advance technologically when God permits it. Think about how there are so many cures to things or so many unanswered questions that technology could answer, but God has not permitted humans yet to embark on those endeavors successfully because of whatever plan he has at hand. And this is how we'll wrap up Genesis chapter 11.